Okay, it's the 21st century. Globalization became a prominent member of influence to our society. Technology has picked up speed, and our ways of communication has evolved more than ever before. And the question is, how do we communicate? How do we communicate people from around the world? Now, that's the topic we, the third group, will discuss. We'll discuss the tools we use to communicate to people from around the world, from different parts of the continent, from the different continents that the Earth has, to just people behind this room. Now, we're going to discuss about the communication aids, the different tools, and its importance. And now we're going to discuss the different communication strategies and how we use the tools of technology for better understanding of the world and awareness of the media. Now we can use those facts to differentiate what is authentic communication and what is fake communication, because using the technology there are very prominent risks of fallacy. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
So what is communication aid? So a communication aid helps an individual to communicate more effectively with people around them. Communication aids are also referred to as AAC devices. So AAC refers to augmentative and alternative communication, which is defined as a huge range of techniques which support or replace spoken communication. These include gesture, signing, symbols, word boards, communication boards, and books, as well as voice output communication aids or VOCAs. So now let's talk about the two main types of AAC, or the augmentative and alternative communication. So there are two main types, the unaided communication and aided communication. So unaided communication methods include vocalizations and speech attempts, as well as gestures and body movements. Many unaided communication methods are used and understood by most people, such as facial expressions, looking or eye gaze, pointing, and other common gestures. Other methods, such as individualized signals, may be understood only by familiar people. For example, a child may raise an arm to talk about someone who is tall and look toward a kitchen to talk about food, hunger, or the person who cooks. In addition, people with limited ability to move may use subtle finger moves or eye blinks as code for answering yes or no to questions. So now let's talk about the aided communication. Aided communication uses equipment, but this ranges from low-tech to high-tech methods, with pictures and symbols often used instead of or together with words, and with alternative hardware options available to provide access. A low-tech method of communication, like a simple laminated communication book to carry around with a few pages of pictures or symbols, would be a communication aid. The term device would only describe a more high-tech solution. An electronic communication aid can be a dedicated device built for that job, which does nothing else, or it can be a standard computer running specialist communication aid software as well. This includes Apple tablets, which are increasingly being used to help people communicate.
So now let's move on to the communication strategies. So communication strategies are plans for communicating information related to specific issues, events, situations, and audiences. So the purpose of communication strategies is to ensure that everyone involved has adequate information to communicate about it, maintaining consistency and preventing any ambiguity. So when we say ambiguity, meaning it has the presence of two or more possible meanings in a single passage. So as we all know that communication is the exchange of information between the sender and receiver, right? So it is used to know that you only had to worry about the way you communicated through face-to-face or on paper. However, technology has changed this completely. It is important for people to take into account every aspect of how they are relaying information. And this is where communication takes place. Communication strategies are the blueprints of how this information will be exchanged.
Types of communication strategies. Communication strategies can be verbal, non-verbal, or visual. Integrating all the strategies together will allow you to see the most success. This allows a business to meet employees' need and increase workplace knowledge. Verbal communication strategies can be broken down into two categories: the written and the oral communication. Written strategies consist of avenues such as email, text, and chat. Examples that fall into the oral category are phone calls, video chats, and face-to-face conversation. Non-verbal communication strategies consist of mostly visual cues such as body language, facial expressions, physical distance between communicators, or the tone of your voice. These cues are typically not intended. However, it is important to realize the message you are sending. Otherwise, you may be saying one thing, yet the receiver is hearing another. Visual communication strategies can be seen through signs, web pages, and illustrations. These strategies are used in the workplace to draw attention and provide documentation. Human resources is required to post certain visuals throughout the workplace to comply with safety laws. One of the biggest sources of misunderstanding and communication breakdown is language. Study shows that the following are the 12 strategies that speakers commonly resort to when communication problems arises. So the first one is the message abandonment. You leave the message unfinished because of language difficulty. Like when you are having conversation with a foreign people, for example, a Korean. Like you are having a conversation with them, and then you have a problem or having a difficulties understanding each other, and of course you would probably think that this conversation would not go well, so you would immediately abandon the message. Next is the topic avoidance. You try not to talk about the concepts difficult for you to express. Third is the circumlocution. You describe or paraphrase the target object or action. For example, paraphrasing the word grandfather as the father of one's father. The fourth one is the approximation. You use an alternative term or shape as closely as possible. Like for example, instead of saying the exact message, you divert and make it closely to the exact message. Like exact measure is 2.91 and then you round it to 3. The bus ride takes 57 minutes and you say it 1 hour bus ride. The fifth one is use of all-purpose words. You expand a general word to the context where certain words are lacking, like the overuse of the words thing, stuff, make, do. What do you call it? What is it? Word coinage. You create a new English word based on what you know of the way English word, like, for example, vegetarianist, which is actually not in the dictionary for the vegetarian. And for the seventh one is the use of nonverbal. Means you mime the gesture, use facial expression, and imitate sound to express the meaning you want. Next is the literal translation. You translate a word or an idiom from your mother tongue to English using the structure of your first language. So let's move on to the foreignizing. You use the word in your native language but pronounce it like English. Next one is the code switching. You use the native word or expression for the English term that expresses the meaning you want. For the next one is the appeal for help. You ask other students or your teachers for help when you do not know or forget some words, structures, or idioms. And the last one is that use of fillers, hesitation devices. You use filling words like kanang to gain time to think.
Using tools of technology. Multimedia is a content that uses a combination of different content forms such as text, audio, images, animation, video, and interactive content. Multimedia contrasts with media that uses only rudimentary computer displays such as text-only, traditional forms of printed or hand-produced material. Transparency, also known variously as a view foil or view graph, is a thin sheet of transparent flexible material, typically cellulose acetate, onto which figures can be drawn. These are then placed on an overhead projector for display to an audience. Many companies and small organizations use a system of projectors and transparencies in meetings and other groupings of people, though this system is being largely replaced by video projectors and interactive whiteboards. Video is an electronic medium for the recording, copying, playback, broadcasting, and display of moving visual media. Sound recording and reproduction is an electrical, mechanical, electronic, or digital inscription and recreation of sound waves such as spoken, voice, singing.
So, good day to all of you, and here I am going to talk about the strategies using tools of a technology. So, how it can help to the communication. So, by these strategies, it would be easier sharing of information, faster and reliable communication to others. So, reduce language barriers, potential technology, and communication downsides. And so the strategies using tools of technology, so number one is keep it simple so that the audience will surely be into liking it. Next one is emphasizing your key ideas to show and explain more to short words so that it can be understood easily. Next one is show what you can't say, so like use close-up shots and other images so to help them more help them more understand it, as how you show some pictures if you can't really can't express it through words. So the next one is keep the number of images you present manageable, so be mindful of the words or pictures that you make, because almost all of us all of us hates reading too long, like taas kayo ng mga text, like maglaba na lang atong ulo, like mapulan ta. So yeah. Next one is combine variety with coherence. So like combine some different sites or sources to explain it coherently or explain it briefly to understand them. So the next one is use large lettering so that the readers can really see it. So that is all. We are done. So ensuring that the goals are set depending on the results you have, using these different strategies, it also enhances our self-confidence in front of other people. We can't deny that despite the cons of technology, the pros help us a lot guys. So it makes the process of communication easier and efficient.
So now let's talk about the rules that can help us to present a good presentation. So first, we have the 10, 20, 30. It is 10 slides, 20 minutes, and 30-point font. The 166. One main idea, 6 bullet points, 6 words per bullet. The 7-7, which is the 7 lines, 7 words. And let us always remember the 9 P's, which is prior preparation prevents poor performance of the person putting on the presentation. So now, in the conclusion, in this topic, we have learned about the different tools and different strategies are best to use to our presentation. This topic, we must first know the different types of communication strategies before we use the different tools and strategies. And this lesson is very important because it helps us to make our presentation presentable, and it can provoke the attention of the audience. And also, using these different strategies, it enhances our self-confidence in front of other people. So in summary, this topic is about the effect of technology in communication and how it helps us. We can't deny that despite the cons of technology, the pros helps us a lot. It makes the process of communication easier and efficient.